Dr. Jen Price. I'm excited for you to be my very, very first guest here on Talk to Me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here today with you.
Today was an interesting day because you expected to be on the editor's desk, but due to technical difficulties, we're here on Talk to Me. So I did not want to miss the opportunity to do just that, to talk to you and find out what's going on in your world and all the things you're doing. So if you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to become the fabulous Dr. Jen Price that you are.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I feel really special. Well, my name is Dr. Jim Price. I grew up, my father raised me and my three younger sisters in a small town. He was actually a widower at a very young age, but he taught us that education was the way up. And so I paid attention to that, and I ended up becoming an educator and also a counselor. And I worked with students and families for over 20 years, helping them
Wow.
map a plan
Mhm.
for career success and help them with the college admissions process. I
So,
visited over 200 colleges and helped students win over $15 million in scholarships.
so when you do that, is that something you do just with the student or you do that with the student and the parents?
Question. I primarily work with a student on a regular basis, but initially I meet with the entire family to hear what the goals and objectives are of the family. And of course, with my book, Generation Edge, Your GPS for Career Success, it's something that the student and the family can read together.
Now, Dr. Jim, when I went through and I was looking through your website, there's so much information. I was like, I did not know where to start. And being a parent of a college ed student, I thought, wow, this is very comprehensive. Whatever gave you the idea to even start this?
Brenda, I am actually considered a first generation college student. And so my father did not have a 4 year degree. And we knew college was happening one
Uh-huh.
way or another. And so I took it upon myself to learn the process and figure out the process, do research, and start the process early. I started in seventh grade looking for scholarships. And it wasn't easy. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a whole
Mhm.
lot of support from my high school like I thought I might later on, which is good that I started early. And so I really wanted to help other people. And this is the way that I know how to.
So, when you're helping students, what's the first step in getting help with this process?
I feel like students and families, I think it would be helpful for them to start thinking about careers as their child is growing up and introduce them to the many possibilities that are out there. I think that's a step one. Like even when they're a child, allowing them to have quality time with their Legos,
Mhm.
taking them on college campuses when they go visit grandma, those kinds of things. But I think that's kind of something to just kind of build into the life, just that exploration of career and college. I think that's a step one.
Now, what about for those parents like me? I thought about paying for college. So I set aside money early on in Alex's young life for pay for college, but it never occurred to me to help him figure out where he wanted to go to college. So now we're in, say, junior year of school. What can I do to start preparing now?
Great question. I would say kind of hindsight is 2020. I normally tell families you really want to start, as early as sophomore year, and maybe in some cases have some conversations with a college counselor in junior high because it could impact their major later. Like if they're trying to go into science and technology fields, there's some coursework that they need to take sooner versus later. But when you find yourself the parent of a junior, what do you do to begin the process? Again, I go back to the idea of making a choice of a college based on what that student's bent is. What are they passionate about? What do they potentially want to study and major in college? And choose a college based on that. I mean, I've had students come to me that are excited about a college, but they don't offer their major.
Hmm.
You don't want to do that.
So what do you say for what if you say, well, my kid says he doesn't want to go to college, or he says he wants to go, but he just doesn't know what he wants to do. Can you help in that aspect?
Absolutely. I was one of those students who thought they knew what they wanted to do and went to college and studied a major that was not a fit for me for almost 3 years. And And so today I'm a big supporter of career testing. I offer that in my private practice. I talk about career exploration in my book, Generation Edge, as well. And so I encourage students and families to consider career testing just because, that will flesh out some ideas for the family in terms of the student to explore, whether it's through internship or job shadow, or even to help them or realize that college is the next step for them because it's necessary for the career pathway that they are choosing.
Now, with the pandemic, the way we see and view college has really taken a hit, for lack of a better term, especially, you know, for our family. We didn't see the value after they started being home online, and I'm still paying the same amount of money. Is there any advice or even just words of wisdom you can provide parents in that situation?
Sure. I want to start off by saying I do understand how difficult it is with the online learning for college students. And I actually have a child who's 7 years old, and so I'm now kind of a teaching assistant as well because he's
Mhm.
learning from home. And I know it's very challenging, but my PhD is actually in instructional design and technology, and I focused on online learning. So I know that a
Oh,
lot
okay.
more goes into online learning that parents and students may not be aware. And so when they're looking at the price tag, they're thinking, oh, I should get a discount, but it's actually more work for the
Really?
teacher and the institution to offer the online instruction in terms of the design. And of course, there's the technology piece. Sure, they're saving money on the infrastructure in terms of the buildings, but there's a lot involved into being effective as an educator online. And I'm just telling you that as a professional.
So as we change our mindset about online learning, are there things you can offer parents in maybe picking a better online school?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I would tell families to think about is if they're looking at college options, you want to ask questions such as, are the courses synchronous or asynchronous? And why is that important? That's important because the synchronous courses means that the student is engaging with that faculty member in real time at the same
Mm,
time
okay.
versus asynchronous if most of the courses they're just logging on at their convenience and maybe they're just reading something online. I feel like students are more motivated, more engaged when they have the opportunity to have course in a synchronous fashion. And I think families feel like they're getting more of a value when the student is actually meeting with that professor in real time. Sure, it's more convenient to hop on anytime you want. There are a lot of graduate programs that are asynchronous and just as effective, but the motivation levels are much higher for those type of learners.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, thank God I don't have this as my example because my child has just turned 20. But if I was a young parent with, say, a 10-year-old, is there anything I should be doing now preparing with someone like you, or should I be waiting till they hit high school?
I wouldn't say wait till high school because you've heard the saying before, the early bird gets the worm. And that's true
Mhm.
from getting into the more competitive schools and getting the most scholarship money. That is definitely true. It's also true from the standpoint of preparing for a career. There are some things that we can do as a parent to encourage their gifts and when they're younger and when they're growing up. And to even observe what are they gravitating towards. And so I feel like that's kind of a natural conversation that you can have on a day-to-day basis. But at the same time, you want to give them opportunities, whether it's through a summer camp or program, whether it's through extracurricular activities or club, whether it's a sport that's on a select team. They're able to start doing some of those things, but don't do it too early because you still
Mhm.
want them to be a kid.
Mhm. What about for the situation we had? Our child is an artist. So we didn't see the value in taking art, say getting an art degree. We're still challenged by that. How do you deal with parents in that vein where your kid may say, I want to do A, but the parents say you might want to do B?
That happens a lot. I've seen that happen a lot over the years where students come in and they have some interest and the parents are concerned about their child being able to being able to afford living independently because of their career choice. And so I'm a big supporter of encouraging the student to do what's in their heart, but also have that hard and difficult conversation about what that career pathway might look like and try to come up with some ways for them to think outside the box to still be able to live independently of their parents. And so I would still say, let them take those art courses, let them compete in art competitions. The stronger their art portfolio is, when it comes time for them to apply to college, that gives them a better chance of winning scholarships, major scholarships, to lower the cost of their education. And then they may not choose to go to an art school. They might choose to go to a state school that has a really strong art department. Or maybe instead of doing the fine arts, they might choose to do something like graphic design, or something that is more associated with business and a little bit easier for them to get a job. So that's part of the whole career exploration process, looking at options in that neighborhood of what they like to do. So they won't be miserable in a job, that they'll actually enjoy what they do for a living. That's the goal.
So when you're counseling students and parents, what about those kids that say, well, I want a double major? Is that something you advise, or is that something that's only dealt with at the college?
I don't usually recommend double majoring, just because it can be stressful for the student to try to juggle all of that. I mean, some schools will allow them to have a major and a minor, and I think that's a little bit more manageable. But there are some students that take a lot of AP courses, they place out of a lot of classes, and then they're able to go in and double major and still graduate in 4 years, and that works. It depends on what the reasoning is behind it. Maybe they want to do art and business, because they want to be able to fall back on a business degree in case they're not able to make things work in art. Or maybe they want to do business so that they can be an artist who is creating, but also know how to make money with that art, with that craft.
Okay. Well, Dr. Jen, it's been wonderful talking with you today, and thank you for doing this pivot with me. And I'd like to know, how will people get in touch with you?
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is through social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Dr. Jen Price. So find me online at Dr. Jen Price on social media, and we can connect.
And before you go, could you please tell us the name of your book one more time?
Yes, the name of my book is Generation Edge, Your GPS for Career Success. And if you want to pick up a copy, go to mygenerationedge.com.
Oh, wait, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. I noticed that there was a thing going on with T-shirts also. Is that still going on, Dr. Jen?
Yes, I'm running a special promotion right now. And if you go ahead and make that investment, that purchase today, you have a chance to have a T-shirt that's branded Generation Edge, and it looks really cool. And the book. Awesome. And it comes with an autograph by me. So that's the perk of getting it now.
Well, look, it's December, y'all. It's a great time for a Christmas gift. You can gift that college student or upcoming college student or young parents with a book that will help them plan their kids' career success. Thanks again, Dr. Price, for being a guest on Talk to Me.
Thank you for having me, Brenda. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. You take care and have a blessed day.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Look, Archie, we pulled this off. We just had Dr. Jen, and now I'm excited that I'm here with the feelings guy himself, Mr. Archie Messersmith-Bunting. I am so excited that you trusted me enough to pivot today and come on Talk to Me. So talk to me about my gratitude journal and anything else you feel free to talk about today.
Well, first of all, if anybody's going to pivot in 2020, it's Miss Brenda. That's number one. Number two, so I watched you and Dr. Price, and I just want to echo what she says. As someone who is a motivational public speaker, I've had to move all of my business online. And so people are like, oh, well, so if it used to cost, it doesn't cost $10. Right. But if it used to cost $10, now it costs $3, right? And I'm like, no. Are you kidding? Like it takes so much more work. Her point about the level of the change of the instructional design is exactly right. So as parents are, working through all these pivots, just know that this person back here is working overtime to try to keep your students engaged through a little bitty light. So just want to shout out to Dr. Price and all that she said.
Thank you. And when you talk about that, because you do online training, correct, already. So I saw that when I was doing research on you, I noticed that you have a virtual training that you do, that you've already written another book. I saw that, and I was just like, you have so much that you do as you help people change their mindset and make it okay to be not okay. And I just hope that you'll talk about that some today while you also talk about your journal. And take your
Yes,
time,
ma'am.
because I want you to talk to me.
Well, I got to give a shout out to Dr. Price first.
Mhm.
But yeah, so, as Brenda said, my name is Archie. I'm the feelings guy. And my goal is really to reframe the narrative around mental illness and addiction by focusing on feelings and having honest conversation. And those two things we often don't tend to do in America.
We do not.
We don't tend to talk about the feelings. Y'all are from the South. We don't talk about the
Mhm.
feelings. And then we kind of talk around things.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to talk about the things. So my work previously was, I would go to colleges, I would go to high schools, I would go to corporations, and I would have these conversations. And in March, everything changed right here. So I have spent the greater portion of the past 8 months sitting right here on this stool, talking to this green light, and really encouraging people to be okay, not being okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be like, all the feelings are normal. We just have to start talking about them.
Yes. Now, for me, one of the things, a phrase that we coined here at our house was called isolation frustration. And that has been something that we have watched as I've watched people do things that I think aren't very healthy. As we watch the media and different things, how would you address those issues?
Yeah. Okay, so when I do my work, I teach people that feelings aren't facts. That's true. Like
that's good. So I have to write that down. Hold on, let me get my pen.
But hold on, I'm not done.
I know you're not done, but I got to get my pen so I can take some notes. Feelings aren't facts. Go ahead.
So in the addiction community, so I'm a recovering addict, and I'm very open about that. And that's sort of a staple in both the addiction and the therapeutic community. The feelings aren't facts, meaning these things that I feel inside, like I can't take it out and build a house with it. Like it's not a living, but feelings do have power. So feelings aren't facts, but feelings do have power. And so to your point, what I have noticed, because friend, in April, I had to get a job at a big box store because I had to make some money. Like no one's hiring a speaker in April. So I had to go get it. And I feel bad for the people who are named Karen, but like the Karens that we're seeing on Instagram, having all these feelings come out.
Right.
With all of my being, I believe that 9 months ago, that wouldn't have happened. But these feelings that we all have, if you don't manage them, if you don't do something with them, they have power and they come out right here. So the people that are isolating, people that are, I love you some chocolate ice cream. So people that are like eating to feed their feelings, there's a reason we say feed your feelings. Why don't we talk about them instead? Let's talk about them.
That's why I wanted to do this show, Talk to Me, because I felt like there was no safe place for people to talk about the things that they're bottling up inside. And especially now when we have so much contention and division, one of the things I tell people, why can't we agree to disagree without being disagreeable?
Can you? I have so many thoughts. I'm going to keep most of them in my head. It's like it, So as you were saying with Dr. Price, so we have a 2-year-old, so not a 10-year-old. We have a 2-year-old, but and I'm gay, so I'm married. That for y'all that don't know, that means I'm married to a man. So make sure you knew. And we worry about like what is Cade? His name is Cade. What's you growing up into? Because it's like you can't even have a conversation anymore without it just going through everywhere. And like, how did that happen? How'd that happen? And I was having a conversation with someone last week, and I believe that because we've all been taught you do not talk about politics, football, or religion. You do not talk about those things. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because if I never saw mom and dad talk about it, if we never talked about it in public, then I learned that's a taboo thing. When you learn something's taboo, a feeling gets attached to that. And so you're already kind of weird talking about it. Well, then somebody else gets heated and you're like, what is going on right now? And the feelings just go everywhere.
Right. And that's interesting that you say that, because I have a friend that often says that they won't comment on a certain thing. So that limits our conversations, because when everything is off limits, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there was this fascinating study. I think I'm not gonna quote the university because I'll get it wrong,
Okay.
but it's one of those ones that I wasn't smart enough to go to. That they did a study on the next generation, and they don't know, they can't read facial expressions appropriately because this is how they communicate. So they communicate by emojis, right? So the face, like my face is like withdrawing, and you don't even know what's happening, right? Because we're not practicing the feelings. Like my child doesn't know the word fine. He doesn't know the word fine. He knows happy, sad. Like, when did America become the country of fine? Like, everybody's fine all the time. No one's fine. So like, if we would actually just talk about the way we feel, it would make it easier to actually ask for help during those isolation periods. But because no one's ever talked about it, you just withdraw and you just stay. And that's just not safe.
So like, if I gave you the word, if I told you I was stressed, and would you tell me I need to name that as opposed to just using that blanket term stressed?
Yeah, I mean, you can name your feelings whatever you want to, like, you know. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the name. That is a feeling. That is a feeling. Now, where I do sort of draw the line, and you know, I don't get to make the decision for everybody else, but I do believe that words matter. And what bothers me is when people say, so I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I have clinical depression, and so it bothers me when people say, "Oh, I'm so depressed," and I'm like, are you really? Or are you sad? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Because I know what depression feels like. And I'm not saying that people can't have depressing feelings, but I mean, mental illness is finally something we're talking about in America. Mental illness is not a bad word. I have a mental illness. That doesn't make me any less than anybody else. I just learned to claim that. So I do think it's important, the words that we use, and that one in particular, I think we need to be careful about.
And that's a good point, Archie, because I have just begun to stop hiding my diagnosis with post-traumatic stress, with manic depression, and the military sexual trauma, because I lived in shame for so long around those diagnoses that I just would not even discuss it. But what I discovered was that so many people are hiding in shame. And like you said, we're not talking about it. And if they never hear anybody talk about it, how do they then get help for it? So I mean, let me qualify this by saying she's doing fine, but we discovered about 6 months ago that my mom has ovarian cancer. And what it was really interesting to watch during that experience, that when she you know, went on the book, was where you go to like announce things, there was so many, you know, Sandy, I'll pray for you. Sandy, what do you need? Sandy, da 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 da. Okay, so my mom did nothing to get ovarian cancer. I did nothing to have a mental illness. Why are they not looked at the same? But yet when I say something, people are like, "You're so brave. You're so brave," and I'm like, am I brave or am I just alive? Like, what's the deal here? Like, why do you have to be brave to say what you just said for people to hear? Why can't it just be, what can I do for you? How can I help? Instead of, you're so brave. I think that goes back to the fact what you said earlier about, because if we don't talk about something, then it seems brave that someone would say, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and people they applaud you, and oh, how wonderful that you actually are doing a TV show. You showed up today. And I'm thinking, so did you. So that is interesting to me, that I would love, like you, to change the narrative about how people see it. Not only how people see it, but how I see myself. Because I spent years on a couch, and I must tell the people that will eventually see this, that Archie has just been a breath of fresh air in my life. The way he sees things, and just the brief times that we've had time to conversate and talk, you often say something that changed the way I view what I'm dealing with on a daily basis. And I thank you for that. When you are dealing with different people, because your website had a lot of things about college kids and different things. Is there a group that you particularly focus on, or is your practice open to just a person that is in need of help in the mental area?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for your kind words, and I could echo them right back to you, because it's nice to see another person who has claimed their authenticity and just says, here I am. That the song from The Greatest Showman, like, this is me, this is me, like, this is what you got. So I do want to say, for the humans out there, I'm not a therapist. I'm not trying to be a therapist. I'm not going back to school. I've got my 2 degrees and I am good. So I do not do therapy sessions of any kind. I talk about how I have found my paths. So my work for the past many years has been in the world of college students. And in the past year or so, I've begun expanding that to high schools and to corporate America, because I realized that the message is the message is the message.
Yes,
and people are responding. And I think it's honestly because I'm just so dang authentic. And I think it's really hard to, it's easy to dismiss someone's position. That's easy. It's much harder to dismiss their feeling. And I just show up with feelings and just say, here's what we're going to talk about. And so it really kind of encompasses all those things.
So I'm glad you mentioned the feelings part. How did you get the title, The Feelings Guy?
The Feelings Guy. Yeah, well, I mean, it started as a joke, like, a lot of things in life do, because I am one of a few men who are just, talk about feelings. And I kind of do it so much that someone said, you should be the feelings guy. And I was like, ooh, let me see if that is taken. It's not taken.
And there it goes.
So here we are. But it really is because I really am on a personal mission to change the way we greet each other. I want y'all to stop saying, how are you today? Because that means nothing. Think about it. What does how are you today mean? It means nothing. What I want you to say is, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because when you ask someone that question, you give the other human permission to actually respond. When you say, how are you today? The other person knows their job is to say, I'm fine. That's their job. When you say, how are you feeling? If I said, Brenda, how are you feeling today? You're like, oh, like it'll take you back a second.
Yeah, it would.
It improves the way you feel. And I guarantee you, it improves the way they feel. And so that's kind of how it all started.
But isn't it true, if you ask someone, how are you feeling, you need to be prepared to listen?
Oh, and that is the second piece, is that then just listen. Just listen. I started a movement called 5 on the 5. It happens every May the 5th. And actually, we started doing it every month on the 5th. So it'll be again tomorrow, where we challenge people to call 5 people and ask them how they're feeling. And then on the 5th, it's a much bigger movement, and then it just keeps spreading and keep going. But it's been pretty amazing, the people that I've met all over the world who have participated, and you just feel better that day because you are giving the gift of your time to someone else, and the gift to show that you care, and people are changed.
Well, Archie, we've talked about a lot of things, but I don't want you to leave before telling us about my gratitude journal.
Sure. So this sort of came, and we both have a mutual friend, Jen Gottlieb, who does her gratitude. We call them Jen's wins. At night, she writes down her gratitude for the day. But for me, I found that even after piecing together years of sobriety and getting my mental illness sort of managed, that I still wasn't really happy. And for me, I realized the missing piece was the focus on feelings. And part of that comes gratitude. So gratitude comes from the Latin word gratia, and that means graciousness or gratefulness. And what gratitude does, it's a mental cognitive reframe. So when you are focused on something that you're grateful for, the rest all kind of goes away. So what I did was I created a month journal, and it's brand new. I created this first for college students, and because people started asking for it, I went back and created a brand new one. So it's brand new, launching today. It allows you to have prompts in the morning and evening to reflect on the things in your life that bring you happiness. And you actually get to rate your happiness, so that at the end of the week, you look back and go, where did I spend time this week that I wasn't happy? And then why am I doing those things?
Ooh,
so it's brand
good.
new. Well, I try. It's a free download, and you get it at ArchieCares.com/resources.
Okay.
So
now, see, I already been on your site, so I'm going to go look for that one because I didn't even see that. I'm going to go back again.
It's brand new. It's just there.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did I miss that?
No, it's brand new. It's brand new. It went up today.
Oh, okay. I like that. So, and what other good resources right now with all the things, we're having a lot of challenges, Archie, and people are sad because of losing family, because of COVID. just because of losing family in general, the car accidents and everything. It's
Yep.
just a lot of things going on. What thing could you leave them with a thought with before you go?
Yeah, that it's okay to feel your feelings. Because Brenda, the other thing that we need to realize is that people are losing friends and family members because of differences of opinion. And the opinions have gotten so strong and the relationship is so strained that these relationships that you've had for like all this time are just gone. So people are grieving at the macro level. And so I think that it's important to feel your feelings and to talk about them, but then to get up and do something. Like the best thing, and Brenda, you know this to be true, the best thing you can do to help yourself is to help someone else.
Yes.
And there are tons of ways to give back virtually. You don't have to go out and, I believe in science and expose yourself. You can sit right here and do something. So if the holidays don't have to be blue. You can work through that. Put on some neon clothes. Like, girl, I've never had a bad day in some neon. Put on some neon and like do something to give back. But it's okay to have those feelings. Just don't sit in them.
Well, Archie, I'd like to say thank you for coming and making this pivot with me to talk to me. And I'm look forward to having you on the editor's desk so we can talk some more.
Yes, ma'am, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a blessed day, Archie.
You as well.
Well, everyone, I did it. I was able to still have my guests get their time to talk about what's important to them and to share with you some of the people that I think are absolutely amazing. Dr. Price helps students find career success, and Archie, the feelings guy, helps us feel better with it's okay that sometimes you're just not okay. Today, I'm more than okay because today I did a pivot. At the last minute, the editor's desk was unable to come live on air. So on the fly, I had to pivot and do this. And I'm excited and proud of myself that I did. I hope you'll join me next week on the editor's desk. And in the meantime, enjoy this Talk to Me segment. There will be more of them. Be blessed, everybody. Yeah, y'all. I'm stacking my deck to my success, and I'm enjoying it.